Welcome to the Sabrina Marie Show. Today we have a special guest, an elementary school teacher. Her name is Krystal Gant. She is here to talk to us and help us get prepared for our children going back to school. And we're going to ask a few questions to see if she can help motivate us to even want our kids to go back into school with this pandemic going on. Let's welcome Krystal Gant. Welcome to the show, Krystal. Nice to have you here. I'm so excited that you are here with me today, and I can't wait to go ahead and get into all the things that we're going to talk about with these kids and working with them and dealing with the pandemic. You see my kids is coming out? Let me just stop it right now. I'm recording. I'm on the show.
And that's why I had to get rid of my children.
She just came out with the dog making noise, and I'm just, okay, it's cool though. Give me a few. Okay, let's try that again. All right, I never even stopped that. Okay. Welcome to the show, Krystal. I'm super excited to have you here, and I can't wait to talk to you about the different activities that's going on with the kids in school today and what to expect coming up with the new year. So I'm super excited. So won't you take the time to give your credentials to my guests?
Hi, thank you for having me. First of all, Sabrina, I'm excited to be on the show. I currently have my master's degree in education, special education. I teach students with autism and other intellectual disabilities, and I've been doing that for about 4 years now. On my way to finishing, actually have 1 more month to go, finishing my second master's of education in administration. So I want to kind of, do more for, the kids and be like a principal or something like that eventually. Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. It's so funny because, well, let me let my guests know how I know Krystal. Krystal is not only a professional, but she is a family friend as well. And I know her through her sister. And I remember, being their friends, being a little girl and everything. And to see that you have accomplished so much and to get your master's, and I didn't even know that you worked in special education. What kind of friend am I? But I didn't even know that's exactly what you do. I just thought, I knew that you were a teacher. I knew that you were a teacher, a school teacher, but I didn't know what like grade level, elementary school or whatever. So that's a big deal to even teach on that aspect, because it seems like it takes a lot more attention and time and patience to work with children in special education and things like that. Tell us a little bit more about your journey as far as that.
I've been currently at the job that I'm at right now for 5 years. I started as a sub, actually. I was just a sub instructional assistant. I never ever thought of being a teacher until I actually started working at this job.
Did you and kids?
Huh? I love it. I love it. Like, it's so, I've always worked with children. I've been working in like daycare since I started in school. That was like my undergrad was in behavior science, and I went to school I wanted to do like behavior therapy or something like that. But then once I started working as an instructional assistant at this school with students with disabilities, I didn't want to do anything else but to work with children with special needs. Wow. Coming from daycare, I saw a lot of children with behavioral needs get kicked out of daycares and stuff because people didn't know how to support them. So my overall goal in life is to own a center where I can help the children with special needs have like their own daycare, because we don't have a lot of those. So many people that don't know how to deal with kids with behavioral needs. So that's what I want to do.
That's amazing, Krystal. That's really great work, and to have the compassion and the love to even deal with children in general, because some of us don't have that.
Right. And takes a special kind of person to
Yeah,
to work with kids with special needs, definitely. But I wouldn't change it for the world. I love my students to death.
that's awesome. So let me know how has the pandemic affect schools in general, teaching and you with your kids and different things like that. Like, how has the pandemic affected? Because I know it affects our household with just the school being shut down, and
Right.
it changes our work schedule. It changes the whole dynamics of how we do everything, even in, just in life in general. And I'm finding it very difficult to be a parent who is not a parent that is the type of person who will sit there and do homeschooling types of things, like how could you first let's answer that question. How has it affect you and your children in school?
Well, I know right now it's so hard for the kids not being in school. Like I said, I work with students with special needs, and they mostly have a lot of behavioral issues. So it's taken more to try to get them educated digitally, as well as make sure their parents can maintain their behaviors and stuff at home, because we did a lot of like behavior modification type stuff. So not a lot of parents can even handle their own children's behaviors. So a lot of times, I'm calling my parents weekly just to check on the kids, check on them, make sure they're okay. I'm providing students with digital learning through Zoom, so I'm teaching online. My school is also it's a private school, and we have residential facilities. So I went from teaching in the classroom to teaching some students in the group home. So I work, yes, I've been fortunate to work during this pandemic, but it's a lot different than working in the classroom and having to come to a group home and teach the children at home. So
Let me
I'm
ask you a
doing.
question. Is it mandatory for you guys to do that from this with the school system, or is it something that you're kind of doing on your own as far as reaching out to parents and the children and helping them with work and things like that? Is that mandatory, or is that something that individual teachers just decided that they want to to do that?
No, yeah, it's definitely a requirement from the school systems. We work with a lot of different school systems, and they do require us to meet certain amount of requirements per week. So we have to make sure that we are providing students, or at least giving the parents an opportunity to say, yes, I'll want you guys to have these instructional sessions with my students or not. It's their option if they want to have it. But as the county, we do have to provide them with some kind of instructional um, assistance. So we do not only do digital learning online, but we provide the students with weekly packets. So every single week I'm at the school and I'm making packets for my kids for home. And it's probably different from public school, because most of them are probably doing online learning. I know with my own kids, that's what they were doing. Like the teachers weren't sending things home for them to do, but that's the option that we have, I guess, as a private school and the type of school that we are. So we not only provide digital learning to our kids, but we also provide them with weekly work lessons that they can have on hand, and that's per the school system. Yeah, they're making sure that we are still providing the children with some academics.
Right. I know my son has been getting packages from his teacher through email, and he's been doing them, but I still feel like something is missing, like I'm not doing enough as a parent, like to
Right.
make sure, because my son has honor roll classes he's going to junior high school, his first year in junior high school this year. And he has honor roll classes, and he almost all his classes could have been honor roll, but my husband and I decided to pull back a little bit because we felt like it would be too challenging, not only for him but for us as parents, to make
Right.
sure the workload is taken care of. And I know some people feel like that you're kind of hindering your child, but I feel like I'll be doing him a disservice if I'm being honest with it. And I try to get tutors and things like that. It's just I just don't know how to move right now academically with my kids. So I think it's a great that you're going to like the different group homes or different things. Do you suggest like tutoring over the summer? You know,
Yes, I would definitely suggest it. I know for people that can't, afford to have tutors and stuff, like I will, and I do this every year for my kids. I take them to the bookstore, Barnes and Nobles or something, and I know things are closed right now, but even ordering books online, and I sit them down for even if it's an hour during the morning time or an hour in the afternoon or in the evening, and I make them do work, because
patience.
if you've ever done, and I don't research a lot, but I've always read that children that are not continuing with some type of academics throughout the summer tend to lose a portion of what they've learned before the next school year starts. Then I'm a real big believer on reading and that kind of stuff, so I always make sure that my kids do something. So I would suggest that even if they're just doing things that they did from the previous school year. So my daughter's going to fifth grade work might be too hard for her right now. So I will continue her working with her fourth grade work that she struggled with during the fourth grade to make sure that, she can progress in that before we move to seeing if she can even do fifth grade work, especially with, half of the school year was shut down. So she probably won't even be able to do her fifth grade work. So I will make sure that she continues with learning all the fourth grade stuff that she needed to learn.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Do you think that the schools will be opening up this fall? I mean, I've heard that they plan on opening. Um, I'm just a little optimistic.
I have definitely heard that they plan on opening. With my school, we are a year-round school, so we could open anytime that they tell us that, school. If they say next week you guys can open, we are allowed to open. But I know that per the CDC, there's certain requirements that has to be made in order for the schools to open. Um, if the COVID numbers don't go down anytime soon, I really don't see us opening in the fall because kids aren't going to want to social distance, and most schools are overcrowded. How are they going to be 6 feet apart?
So that's the biggest thing that I'm looking at, because I'm like, okay, if they open back up, how are the kids going to social distance? Kids are, they like to play, they
Right.
whatever, and okay, and yeah, just say you have the teachers there and you have everybody trying to be real strict. I just see a lot of trouble coming, a lot of acting out, and just because the kids are so restricted.
Right.
So it has me thinking about homeschooling or hiring a private teacher, some kind of, I don't know, like I don't
Right.
know which direction. I've been really concerned about them going back to school as well, so I'm like, are they really going to open up this year? Are the numbers going down, or is this thing real? Because we hear people say that it's not a real thing, but then you see people getting sick, like
Right.
it
Right.
can be so
And I've
confusing.
also I've been looking up a lot of like just seeing articles and stuff, and I've seen that I've read that some schools might even do like different sessions. So like maybe K through 2 or 3 will go in the morning session, and then the rest of the school will go like in the afternoon, just like so that all the kids are in the building at the same time. I'm not sure how they're going to work that out because many schools are overcrowded. So it would take a lot of preparation before schools could open in the fall, like a lot.
Oh yeah, and I'm seeing that because just with the restaurants alone, and them redoing things, even with my own business, I had to redo a lot of stuff, and the first 2-3 weeks was kind of difficult and exhausting because you had to train yourself to get used to the new way and not to forget
Right.
and go back to the old way, because you're not only thinking about yourself, but you're thinking about the health of your clients as well. So
Right.
it's been kind of hard and everything as far as that.
And then we have to also talk to our kids, as much as we want them to be children as well. It's like if school opens back up, we have to tell them, there's still a virus out there. We have to be mindful. I understand that you want to play with your friends, but make sure you stay 6 feet apart. For kids, that's going to be very difficult. And then do they expect the kids to wear masks in school? I don't even know. Like that's going to be a whole nother issue.
Exactly, because even when my son goes out and we well, he really doesn't go out much, but like say for instance, he got a haircut yesterday and he wore his mask. That's a big deal for him. It's a big
Yep.
deal. It's a big deal. Do you think that most of the kids, like parents, are going to allow their kids to come back? Do you think that they're ready? I know the schools are ready to receive.
Right.
Well, they're trying to see if they're ready to receive kids.
Right.
But I know me as a parent, I'm unsure. Do you think a lot of parents are like going to make the decision to do homeschooling and things like that, or are they just going to go ahead and risk it?
I've known, so I've talked to a couple of parents that said that they might not even let their kids go back to school in the fall. That they said that, hey, I've never thought to homeschool my children, but since I've had to do it this few months, I think I can do it. I think mostly the ones that are afraid to send their kids to school will not send their kids to school. And then you'll have that bunch that's like, it didn't affect us. You guys are fine. You guys can go back to school. I'm kind of leery myself on sending my kids back to school. I work a lot, so I didn't do very well with homeschooling either. But if we have to make it work, we'll make it work some kind of way, because I don't want to. I just don't see how they're going to make this social distancing work in school at all.
I also noticed because of the pandemic, our kids have been separated from their peers. Um, when they do come back together, do you think that a lot of the children are going to deal with social anxiety? Um, I look at my own child,
Yeah,
and he has always been very friendly and sociable.
right.
But being home the last 2 or 3 months, I realized that he's been shying away from people. And it makes me concerned, like he's having social anxiety being around people. So
Right.
I'm like,
And
okay.
I think so. And I think it's because their anxiety is going to lead more towards the virus, them thinking of the virus and them hearing, we have to social distance and we can't be close to people. So that anxiety is really going to come like, this kid wants to give me a 5, but I'm not supposed to touch. So there's going to definitely be some type of anxiety whenever school starts, just because in the back of their mind, they're like, oh my gosh, like, can I be close? Is the virus gone? Does this person have it? Even when I go to work every day, we've trained the kids in the group home to not even give us 5s or hugs anymore. Like, they immediately come up to us and do this. Like, and we're so used to, giving good morning hugs or, that kind of stuff. And they've been trained this whole time, because when we come in the morning, we say good morning, and then they automatically do this to us because that's a new way of saying hello. So it's definitely going to be some kind of anxiety there.
So, Krista, I'm so happy to have talked to you. Could you give us some advice on how to move forward with this thing?
Well, I think a lot of people are living in fear right now. And I think that as long as we are taking the precautions that we are supposed to be taking, we are talking to our children, we are making sure that we can social distance as much as we can. I wouldn't worry too much about school yet, because there's no decision yet at all. Like, there's so many times that I've heard with my own school, like, yes, we're going to open soon, and then something else will change. I would just say, take it day by day. We can't let this into, it's already caused us 3 months of our lives.
Oh,
So we can no longer live in fear. I see that the world is opening up slowly. I went out for the first time in months with a friend just last weekend, and I had a pretty decent time, and I wasn't scared. I wasn't like looking at everybody like, oh my goodness, do they have it? Because I make sure I carry my hand sanitizer. I make sure I have my mask. And, I just hope that it'll go away soon so that everybody can move forward. But I don't think that we will ever be the same in the world. We won't ever.
I
This to me is like the new normal.
unfortunately I hate it. I hate it so much, I feel I agree with you. I agree that this is our new norm. Um, it's a lot. I feel
Mhm.
like you know, this is a major thing, and if I must say in a spiritual way that the enemy will touch is uh, with us being socially distanced, taking us away from our friends and families and peers, and to be intimate, you know, just with a hug and a kiss, it just a that's a big deal for human nature in itself, and for that to be limited or taken away, it's hard. It's hard, you know, because
It is.
I do miss my friends. I'm not gonna front. And today, I think early this morning, I just happened to be on my Snap and I was looking at all my old snaps, and I was like, man, I had a good time before all this stuff happened.
Right.
Is this are we gonna ever have a good time again?
Right. Right.
Freely to
Right.
enjoy ourselves. So, you know,
Mhm.
I was just looking at everything and I was like, man, I was finally coming out the house.
Right.
I finally came out the house, and now I got
Right.
stuck back in the house again. But
Right. Yeah.
I don't know. I don't want to say that I'm super looking forward to what's next. It's been a little nerve wracking, but I'm hopeful for good things to come forward, you know, in the world and for
Right.
our children. And
Right. Me
I'm
as
super,
well.
yeah, and I'm super excited for you
I
to.
just I know that I can only imagine what my students are going through right now because they have these behavior issues. Like one of the things that I'm always thinking like that now, they transitioned from some of them didn't even like going to school and we got them where they enjoyed coming to school and now they're back at home wishing they were going to school every day. So I can only imagine like what their parents are having to deal with as far as behaviors. A lot of my kids can't express themselves. They can't talk. So I can only imagine what they're going through right now, that everything has literally just stopped and they're not used to transitioning very well. So I hope that once school does start back, that the transitions for them as isn't really too bad. I know that we'll probably be going through a lot within the first couple of weeks of coming back to school, but I hope that it's not too much for them and that their parents are at least taking into consideration that these behaviors come out of these different transitions. A whole lot of stuff has happened. I fear for some of my students because some of them could be hospitalized because their parents don't know how to deal with behaviors and stuff. So I just hope that, everyone is doing well with all of this that's been going on. That's one thing I fear for my kids, that they all come back to school.
Yeah, yeah. It's a lot,
It
but
is.
Krystal, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
And it's Father's Day, so I really appreciate you even just taking out the time to be with me
Thank you.
this evening. And I want you to let people know how they can get to you on your social media, just so if they have any questions or anything like that, they'll be able to contact you and ask you.
Most of my social media, I am Gant722 on Instagram, and I am Krystal Charisma Gant on Facebook.
Awesome. And thank you for tuning in to the Sabrina Marie Show. I'm so happy that you was here. And remember, never let them see you sweat.